Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Chairperson, for giving me the opportunity to be speaking on operating in a child below 8 years. So I have no financial interest in this presentation. Any opacification from the birth or early childhood is defined as a congenital cataract, and even though it is rare, the prevalence varies around 4.24 per 1,000 population, and it is one of the most common treatable cause of childhood blindness. So the question comes, why do we need to operate? We all know that pediatric cataracts have to be operated, and when the question, big debatable question is, when do we operate these cases? So coming to the preverbal children, as we all know, the dense cataract, which is blocking the red reflex with a dilated pupil, or if you are seeing any signs of strabismus with unilateral cataract, or you are having an nystagmus, which is accompanying bilateral cataracts, then we have to operate in those cases. Beach et al. Have reported that pediatric unilateral cataract should be operated between 6 weeks and a bilateral cataract before 8 weeks. So the timing of any lens aspiration is critical in congenital cataracts to prevent deprivational amblyopia. So how do we go about it? The most important thing is about the preoperative workup. So most of the pediatric cataracts can be idiopathic, 33% of them can be idiopathic. What is important is you have to have a good neonatal history, family history, and the type of cataract you are dealing with, because it is very helpful to give you, recommend the laboratory workup which you have to do, because unilateral cataract doesn't need much of investigation except the general anesthesia. But bilateral cataract needs investigations in the form of, you have to have a torch profile, you have to have a CBC, you have to have serum urea creatinine, and if needed also you have to ask for this urine analysis for reducing sugars or galactokinase, calcium or phosphorus. And if you are seeing a dysmorphic baby, then you have to have the genetist to work it for you. Now, very important is examination of the eye before you take up for surgery. So you can do a handheld examination, always very important, rule out, see the red reflex and see how the reflex is looking, whether you have any associated things along with it. So whether you are dealing with a healthy child or with a diseased child, that is very important and you should be taking care of. So look for any strabismus, microphthalmus, microcornea, any signs of uveitis or PHPV, and how is the pupillary reaction, and look at the type of the lens opacification. So there you can land up in having different type of morphology of the cataract. It can be a blue dot, it can be a lamellar, it can be a membranous. Even if an elder child can come to you with a traumatic cataract where you can see so much of cortical matter in the anterior chamber with the lens breached in those cases. So fundus examination is a very must in all of the cases, and if you are having a total cataract where you cannot see the fundus, then you have to take the help of the B scan, where you have to look for any vitreous hemorrhage or vitreous opacification or retinal detachment before you take up these cases for surgery. What is important to know is what is this normal pediatric eyes are. We know that at birth, the axial length, the keratometry, everything is different from what it is there in cases of adults. And there is a rapid growth of all these ocular biometics within the first 3 months, and there is a slow growth for next 15 years, sorry, not years, it's 15 months. And so why it is important to know, because the lens, intraocular lens, which we are going to place in those cases has to need under correction accordingly. So you can follow the rule of thumb to have a post-operative target refraction in those cases. So we usually say what is important is, like if you are between 2 to 4 years, spherical equivalent of the fellow eye minus 1.25 diopters, and above 4 years, the spherical equivalent of the fellow eye will do. But what is important, if you are, you can do a 20% under correction in infants and 10% in the toddlers of what the intraocular power you are going to give. So these are some of the studies which has recommended the post-operative refraction, what intraocular lenses your emmetropia you are aiming at, and the Dahan's formula can be used in most of the cases. Coming to the per se of when we are doing a surgery in these cases, what is important? Pediatric cataracts are really challenging because they are not like the adult cataracts. First and foremost, very important is the incision which you are doing. Either you can do a sclerocorneal tunnel or a limbal or a clear corneal. Now, it also depends on the age of the child which you are taking up, but the most important thing is the management of the anterior capsule because they are more elastic, and it is very harder to control the direction of them, and to get an optimum size and shape of this, it's quite important. Till now, manual capsulorhexis is still the gold standard for a successful outcome in the pediatric cataract age group. General anesthesia is very much important. Most important, before you start, you can do the measurement. The corneal diameters should be measured in most of the cases. And if you have an array of lens with you, you can do a handle autokeratometry over there, and you can do a calculation of the intraocular lenses if you have not done preoperatively. Most important in this cases is you have to give a Trypan blue in most of the cases after you have done a incision or limbal or clear corneal or a limbal incision, and this helps you not only for visualizing the anterior capsule, but also helps you to prevent the radial tears when you have when you are doing a capsulorhexis. So most important is either you go about with a cystitome or a Atrata forceps to do a complete continuous curvilinear capsulorhexis, which is a must in all cases of pediatric cataracts. Very important in these cases, you have to give high viscoelastic in all of these cases. I'll be just showing in a video. And you have to make a smaller rhexis, and then you have to keep on continuously moving and removing so that you have a centripetal type of your move should be there so that you get a good rhexis in those cases and you don't have a runaway rhexis. Rhexis of the forms where you can go ahead and help to construct a good capsulorhexis in this case. Now, foldable template intraocular rings are there, which also help, or Gypto is one of the alternatives which can help you in making a good rhexis in those cases. Now, what is important is after doing a good rhexis, you can go about do a lens aspiration. In those cases, you have a phaco aspiration and you can do it. That is not much of a difficulty. But what comes after is how to go about doing a posterior capsulorhexis in most of the cases of a children who is below 4 years. We have to do a PPC along with anterior vitrectomy. But if a child is more than 6 years, you can just do a PPC and not go about doing an anterior vitrectomy in those cases. Now, capsulorhexis again in PPC can be done either manually or with the help of a vitreorhexis in those cases. But the size should be smaller than the anterior capsulorhexis so that allowing the intraocular will have a lower opacification. This is my video. Just I'm going about doing so fill up with the high viscoelastic and heal on GV in most of the cases. We are looking at you start with a small Atrata forceps and you do a smaller rhexis. After that, you do a hydrodissection properly and you remove the soft lenses. So you can very well remove them up, and then you can do a bimanual method of removing the entire cortical matter. That is very important. All the cortex should be removed because we don't want to have a post-operative opacification in most of those cases.
Sorry to interrupt, doctor. If you can just sum it up, please, because the time is up.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. This is my last anyway. Okay, can you see the slides?
Yes, doctor, if you can go to the concluding.
Yeah, so what is important is we have to give a suture at the end of the surgery. So this is just a thing of leaving them aphakia or giving a intraocular lenses, and most preferred intraocular lenses which we are giving nowadays is a hydrophobic acrylic IOL. So post-operative complications, what we come up is already taken up by the other speakers, so I'm not going into details. So take-off message is very important. Pediatric eyes are not miniature of adults' eyes, and meticulous planning is very much needed, and challenges during CCC should be taken care of, and long-term follow-up is needed in most of the cases. Thank you.